Hi, welcome to the library. My name is Bethany. I'm so happy you're here. After several months dealing with a severe water damage issue that flooded my library, I am happy to say that we are back. As you can see, the furniture is back in here. Most of the books are back. I say most because here's a moment of transparency. I still have to put all these books away. So we're mostly back in business, but I am thrilled to have my things back in here, to have access to my living room again. The living room had been taken over by books, which sounds enchanting, except it took over like literally half of the living room. So that was not super fun. But today I thought I would talk about art and when you and kids interested in drawing and resources that you are available to them. And I have this philosophy that I've always had as a kid, which is if there's something that I don't know about, or there's something I'm curious about, or there's something I'm interested in, then I should find a book about it. And I understand that in our very technologically driven world, where AI is becoming more prevalent, that seems like an old-fashioned idea. Like, what do you mean we're going to go to a book first? But I actually think that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to give you resources for if you have a kid like I do who's interested in art and drawing and mastering that very creative skill and outlet. Here are some resources for them. So I think one of the most fun ways to kind of introduce the topic of art to a child is to have beautifully illustrated children's books available to them, whether you are taking them to the library, or you are going to the bookstore, or you are just filling your home. Art is so prevalent in children's picture books, especially, that I think it's fun to have it. So this book is by The Tree and Me by Karina Lukin. She has a book called The Book of Mistakes, and it's one of my most favorite books because it gives kids the idea that sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes you do your best and mistakes happen, and it's okay. But her artwork is consistently beautiful and lovely. It would be very remiss if I did not talk about the Fan brothers. I've mentioned them before because these two brothers create the most magical and most beautiful works of art that they form into picture books. I mean, just the cover alone is gorgeous, but I have a number of their books and they're breathtaking. Look at that. That's lovely. I mentioned Steve Anthony before, but I'm a big fan of his because he's actually colorblind. And so in Please Mr. Panda, he uses very basic colors. And he said that using this very, most of it's just like gray, black, and white actually helped him. And where only the donuts in Please Mr. Panda were different colors. So I just think that's an incredible conversation. Robert McCloskey is one of my most favorite authors. So of course, like I had to mention him because obviously Robert McCloskey. But his art style is just so different from even the ones that I've already mentioned. Ezra Jack Keats, he wrote John Henry, an American Legend, a version of this. But his illustrations are unique and beautiful, and they deserve a place for a child to linger. I love the work of Christian Robinson. So different from some of the other art that you're going to see listed between. I mean, the difference here, and then you get a book like from like Clancy Halling is very different, but both of these have value, you know? So this is Seabird by Halling C. Halling. And I just think that you introduce these different art styles and you linger at them, and then it creates an opportunity for them to, like, the kids want to emulate the work that they're seeing, right? And then, of course, like, you can transition from there to talking about the life of artists, which I think is very exciting. And you can do some, like, the very obvious ones, like get books about Van Gogh and Picasso and Michelangelo, of course, like the icons, right? And when we're talking about art. But you can also go, I'm I'm going to butcher this name and I am so sorry, but it began with the page how Geo, see, I'm going to get this wrong. Fujikawaki. I cringe saying that because I know it's wrong. Drew the way. But this is a true story about how this woman's art like transformed and made a way for life. And like, look at that. And so it tells a story of a real artist. Anyways, I think this is, I apologize that I got this name wrong. Okay. I'm very mortified by that. But I think that there's value in introducing to the classic artists and then also introducing some like more recent. Um, introducing like these are again like picture books that tell stories about Monet, where the other books are just going to just tell about their lives. This is Mornings with Monet and Vincent Can't Sleep. These are by Barb Rosenstock. And I, again, like sit and linger on the artwork, sit and look at the story. So then it transitions from there, right? Because now like the child's interest is piqued, or maybe, you know, there's no rhyme or reason for how they get interested in something. And then the classic Ed Emberley's Drawing Make a World book. And he literally takes a child step by step through the drawing process right here of how to draw these different things to. And so it really is very easy to follow. And it starts very basic. And then by the end, they're like, oh, wait, I see how that works. He's got a number of them available. There's faces, animals, picture pies, big green, weirdos, which is probably like silly monsters and stuff, and trucks and trains. And I just think that this is a very user-friendly way to introduce art and how to draw and things like that, especially if you have a child who's like, but like, how do you do those things? Well, there's a book for that. In our home currently right now, here are the books that my little artist is using quite a bit. And it's been fun to see which books he is gravitating towards that he uses as a daily resource, honestly. There's this book, which is What to Draw and How to Draw It by E.G. Lutz. It's a little like picture or pocket style. And so it kind of takes you through like how to draw this bird in a very step-by-step form. This book is a little bit more technical, but it's called Perspective Made Easy. And he is actually reading this pretty dense book. But he wants to elevate his work and show dimensions. And so he was like, perspective, let's do that. John Hendricks has written a number of graphic novels that I'm big fans of. But this is Drawing is Magic, Discovering Yourself in a Sketchbook. We have sketchbooks all over my home, along with like all types of art supplies at any given moment. That's okay. And so then you see he kind of walks you through like finishing the lower half and like give his challenges. Like, okay, like how would you draw the lower half of each of these drawings here? And then this book, Drawing Amazing Faces, Learning the Basics and Developing Your Own Style, this is by Pipa Santos. I hope I say that name correctly. But this is like, okay, so like we're learning about how to draw a symmetrical face and then movement of the lips and like how you draw those. And then here's another one, How to Draw Cool Stuff, a drawing guide for teachers and students, written by Catherine Holmes. And so again, like, it's just the idea of like, okay, like how would you draw like a pot of gold? So what I've tried to do is show my child, and also hopefully you too, like there are different drawing techniques, there's different styles, and you have the opportunity to form and develop your own while using some of these resources to better cultivate your craft. So that is just a quick synopsis of introducing drawing, or if you have a child who's interested in drawing or art. And there's handful of resources available to them. So happy drawing. Keep reading.